Hey, so today I've got to do work on the R1100s. Last week I ruined the front brakes on the R1200GS. A couple of times I've had to take this out in replacement, and the last two times I've noticed some oil weeping from the fork leg. The fork legs on these don't actually really do anything. The oil in the fork is not to do with damping or anything. All it is a lubricant for the sliders. The main damping and everything is on the spring. It's sort of tucked up under here, and then it goes onto the wishbone. This is all part of the Telelever suspension. Typically, I've got one of the most awkward ones because BMW trialled a new sort of suspension. When they were doing the Telelever, they put in like this weird displacement inner tube thing. Maybe it was weight saving, I don't know, but I certainly know that it's going to be a real, well, people say it's a PITA to deal with. So anyway, what I'm going to try and do is see if I can get around it. Initially I thought I would go in through the top, so removing the fork clamp, the triple tree up here, and the handlebars and things like that. So next thing, remove the bottom of the fork, but actually slide it off of the slider. And what I'm hoping is that by removing, I'm going to jack the bike up. So put a bike under the jack it up. By removing the front wheel, I'm hoping that that will give me enough room to then slide the fork off of that slider, and then I don't need to go up and underneath and displace the displacement tube. I've read that if you displace the displacement tube, then it can be prone to leaking afterwards because it's like a little seal at the bottom. And I'm 99% sure this model has that tube because it's one of the early ones. It's 99. I believe it's bikes between 98 and 2000 that had this tube on it, the R1100s. I can't actually speak maybe for the RT or the GS of that era, but certainly this bike is known to have that tube in it. I want to see if I can get around doing that. So I've just removed all the fairing. Probably don't need to do that if you kind of absolutely know what you're doing and where you're going, but as it is, I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing as such yet, because it may be that I encounter difficulties down on the fork brace here, in which case I need to come back up to the top and maybe go and treat myself to a new socket that will fit underneath. So that's the plan. I'm going to get the I've got to get the supports under the engine now, ready to lift up, and then I'll get the front wheel off and take it from there. So what I've done is I've just put a jack underneath the engine there, just to give it a bit of stabilisation, because in the manual it says that this bike is very front heavy, so I don't want it to tip over. And it's also just very lightly brought the wheel off the floor. So to remove the wheel, you need to loosen up these. It does say to remove the whole thing, but it also looks like there's some screws up under here connecting it to the fork brace, so it seems to be, no. Okay, it looks like this one here is rounding off.